Tell them you love them.
You're welcome. We love you.
Say love
Did you get your
you.
candy?
Oh yeah, shoot, that's in here.
In the aftermath of the Watts family tragedy, silence filled the spaces where answers should have been. Bella and Celeste were gone, and the world struggled to comprehend how a father could destroy the very lives he was meant to protect. But while the victims could no longer speak, the forensics could, and what they revealed would dismantle every lie that came before it. This chapter is not about sensationalism. It is about truth. Forensic examination exists to strip emotion away and replace it with facts, cold, unyielding, and impossible to manipulate. In this case, it did exactly that. Investigators approached the evidence with care, knowing that every detail mattered, especially when the victims were children. There would be no shortcuts, no assumptions, only what could be proven. The forensic process reconstructed the final hours with clinical precision. Timelines were established, locations confirmed, and movements traced. Small details, often invisible to the untrained eye, became critical. The positioning of evidence, the absence of defensive indicators, and the consistency across findings told a story that contradicted the narrative initially presented. The truth was not loud, but it was undeniable. What stood out most was not just what the forensics showed, but what they ruled out. Accidental explanations collapsed under scrutiny. Claims of confusion or panic did not align with the evidence. Instead, the findings pointed to deliberate actions, choices made, steps taken, and opportunities ignored. The science left no room for reinterpretation. For Bella and Celeste, this examination was the closest thing to justice they could receive. The forensics ensured their story would be told accurately, without distortion or denial. In a case filled with emotional chaos, science became the anchor to reality. As we continue this series, we will break down what the evidence revealed, carefully, respectfully, and truthfully. If you believe facts matter and victims deserve honesty, like this video, subscribe to the channel and stay with us as we uncover the full truth step by step. When investigators moved beyond initial shock, their focus shifted to one critical question. When? In any forensic case, time is the backbone of truth. Every action leaves a trace, and every trace exists within a timeline. For Bella and Celeste, reconstructing those final hours became essential to separating fact from fiction. Digital forensics played a major role. Phone records, GPS data, and surveillance footage quietly contradicted early claims. Movements that were described as spontaneous appeared instead as structured and sequential. The timing of messages, the absence of outgoing communication, and gaps where activity should have existed painted a disturbing picture, one that did not support innocence or confusion. Investigators also examined environmental indicators. Household routines, sleep patterns, and normal morning behaviors were compared against what actually occurred. The results were chilling in their clarity. Events unfolded in a narrow window, one that required planning rather than impulse. This was not chaos, it was controlled. Equally important was what the timeline excluded. There were no indicators of outside interference. No overlapping signals, no unknown movements, no evidence suggesting another party entered the equation. Every data point converged on a single source. In forensic terms, convergence is powerful. When independent forms of evidence align, doubt fades. The timeline also dismantled the idea of emotional collapse leading to unintended outcomes. The spacing of events, the consistency of actions, and the lack of interruption all pointed to deliberate follow-through. For investigators, this was a turning point. Once time was mapped accurately, alternative explanations simply could not survive. For Bella and Celeste, this reconstruction mattered deeply. Timelines don't carry emotion, but they carry truth, and truth is what ensures victims are not rewritten by lies. Each minute accounted for became another voice speaking on their behalf. As this case unfolds, remember, lies rely on confusion, but facts rely on order. If you want to continue following the evidence where it leads, like this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter. Once the physical timeline was established, investigators turned to something less tangible but equally revealing: behavior. Behavioral forensics doesn't rely on bloodstains or instruments. It studies what people do after an event, and just as importantly, what they fail to do. In the hours following the disappearance of Bella and Celeste, silence became its own form of evidence. Ordinarily, panic leaves a trail: frantic calls, disorganized messages, inconsistent stories. But what stood out in this case was the opposite: an eerie calm. Communications that should have reflected urgency were controlled and minimal. Language was oddly neutral, almost detached, as though emotion had been rehearsed rather than felt. Investigators analyzed word choice, tone, and packing. Statements lacked the spontaneous chaos typical of genuine distress. Instead, responses appeared measured, sometimes delayed, and often redirected. Behavioral experts note that when someone is hiding the truth, their focus shifts from seeking help to maintaining control. Every sentence becomes a calculation. Another red flag emerged in public interactions. The absence of questions: where are they? Has anyone seen them? Was impossible to ignore. Concern was stated but not demonstrated. Forensic psychology teaches that authentic fear seeks answers, deception avoids them. Even body language became part of the analysis. Movements were closed off. Eye contact was inconsistent. Stress indicators appeared at moments that did not align with the narrative being told. These weren't random tells. They were responses to internal conflict between reality and fabrication. Crucially, behavioral evidence supported the forensic timeline rather than contradicting it. When behavior and physical evidence tell the same story, investigators gain confidence. In this case, both pointed toward intent and awareness, not confusion or accident. For Bella and Celeste, this mattered. Behavioral forensics helped ensure that their story would not be reshaped by performance or sympathy. Silence, hesitation, and misplaced calm all became witnesses, quiet ones but reliable. With the investigative timeline tightening, attention turned to the medical findings: clinical, methodical, and deliberately unemotional. Forensic pathology exists for moments like this, when facts must stand firm against speculation. The goal was not to sensationalize, but to determine how and when, using evidence the body cannot conceal. Examiners focused on indicators that reveal sequence and timing, rather than appearance. Subtle physiological markers helped establish order: who was alive at which moment and for how long. These findings were cross-checked against environmental data, movement records, and the previously established timeline. Nothing was viewed in isolation. In forensic work, context is everything. Importantly, the conclusions ruled out randomness. There were no signs pointing to a sudden, uncontrolled event. Instead, the medical evidence aligned with a deliberate progression: actions carried out with awareness and intent. This distinction mattered deeply in court because it separated accident from choice. Toxicology results added another layer. Analysts examined what was and was not present in the bodies. The absence of certain substances was as telling as the presence of others. It narrowed possibilities, removed alternate explanations, and closed doors that defense arguments might later attempt to open. Medical experts also assessed stress responses within the body: how it reacts when danger is perceived. These biological reactions cannot be faked and cannot be coached. They told a story of awareness rather than unconsciousness, reinforcing earlier conclusions drawn from both physical and behavioral evidence. What made this chapter of the investigation especially painful was its restraint. There were no dramatic revelations, no shocking visuals, just quiet confirmations. But in true crime, it is often the calmest findings that carry the heaviest weight. For Bella and Celeste, the medical evidence ensured accuracy over assumption. It protected their truth from distortion and guaranteed that the narrative presented in court would be grounded in science, not emotion. By the time investigators reached this stage, the case was no longer about isolated facts. It was about sequence. Chapter 5 focuses on the tightening timeline, where every minute accounted for began to strip away uncertainty. Digital records, witness statements, and movement data were aligned to reconstruct the final hours with precision. Phone activity became a cornerstone. Timestamps showed when devices were active, when they went silent, and when messages stopped appearing altogether. This silence was not random. Investigators compared it with location data, work schedules, and neighborhood surveillance, creating a minute-by-minute framework that left little room for coincidence. Vehicle movement added another critical layer. Mileage, GPS pings, and route analysis confirmed where the vehicle traveled and when. These findings directly contradicted early narratives and explanations. What initially sounded plausible could not withstand the math of distance and time. Equally important were the moments before everything went dark. Behavioral analysts examined tone changes in messages, deviations from routine, and actions that seemed ordinary on the surface but alarming in hindsight. The timeline revealed preparation rather than panic, a calm exterior masking irreversible decisions. Witness accounts, though brief, reinforced the structure. Small details, a passing glance, an unexpected absence, a door opening earlier than usual, locked into place when viewed against the digital clock investigators were building. Each independent source validated the others. By the end of this phase, the timeline was no longer flexible. It pointed in one direction, narrowing responsibility and eliminating alternative theories. Defense strategies that relied on confusion or uncertainty lost traction as the chronology became airtight. This chapter is difficult not because of what it shows, but because of how clearly it shows it. Time does not lie. It moves forward relentlessly, recording choices as they are made.
Without computers.
Exactly.
So you remember, I talked to you, Tammy talked to you, Dave talked to you. We're all Colorado. And so the last time we talked to you was a different situation, right? Our investigation was open and your case was open. That's completely different now. So your case is completely closed. Nothing about what we're going to talk about today has anything to do with an open investigation. So we're not here to get more charges on you or get any statements from you that are going to jam you up anymore, right? That's all done. So all of our cases are closed and the court case is closed. So there's nothing that we're going to talk about today that's going to get you any type of trouble at all. And so I wanted to make sure you knew that's not why we're here. Okay. But why we are here. So the three of us work from three different agencies, right? Quite a bit different. CBI, FBI, and Frederick. Different goals. And the things that happened with you kind of all brought us together. And as the months have passed on since everything happened, we just keep in touch with each other and we keep talking to each other. And we've all separately kind of said, did Chris seem unique to you? And me and Tammy have talked about this, Dave and I have talked about this. Did Chris's situation seem different to you? And we keep having that conversation. We can't quite put our finger on it, right? We think that your life leading up to all of the things that happened were very interesting to us. And for me personally, I don't know if you remember, but one of the last things you told me was, hey, Graham, I'm sorry that I started lying to you. And that stuck with me for the last couple months. It's been ringing in my head, right? I've never, ever worked a case like this where someone told me that ever. And so as I walked away, I thought, Chris is different. Chris is a little bit unique in that regard. So in talking with Tammy and talking with Dave, I said, what did you feel like when it all went down? When we were there, we were talking to you guys, and we all kind of, in our own different way and in our own different wording, said it all happened a bit too quick for us, right? So when we saw you last, we were talking and talking and talking about your family, about your parents, about everyone. And then the next thing you know, for me and Tammy and for Dave, all of a sudden some patrol officers came in and arrested him. And that was far quicker than we had hoped it would happen. And you understand why that happened, and we understand why that happened. But it left us with 1,000 questions that we didn't get to ask. And then even more importantly, I think it probably left you with 1,000 things that you didn't get to talk about with us. I don't know if you feel that way or not, but, and so that's why we're here today. We wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit more about everything, you know. I think there's a lot of things that you didn't get to talk about. And so, you know, that's why we're here. And it sticks with me that to this day, there's not one person that's told me, I saw it coming. I knew Chris was like that. I knew it. Not one person. So it's just, it's interesting to me, right? Not one. So we want to talk a little bit about that. Some of the people that we work with, your family, Shanann's family, have said, you know, if you get to talk to Chris, would you tell him some things for me? So we have that to talk about today, and it's good. I think you'll like it. I think it will give you some closure. And so really that's why we're here. Are you available to talk to us?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. So off the bat, if you have any questions, just tell us.
Okay.
If there's something that you don't want to talk about, that's okay. Wouldn't that press you a little bit? Okay, you might say, well, do you mind if we just maybe then ask one question? If something makes you uncomfortable, just tell us. If we need to take any bathroom breaks, we take bathroom breaks. You know, for anything like that. And we'll take bathroom breaks and water breaks ourselves too. So then, is there anything about your schedule today that makes it that you can't talk to us?
No, there was like a pass for this in the AM and the PM.
Okay.
Yeah, they reserved the room the whole day,
Oh,
just
okay.
in case.
That's just what they do.
Okay, I didn't know if that was like 2 separate things or something.
I think you have to go back for lunch to get counted for or something.
Oh.
Accounted for.
Yeah, I think
11:30.
Yeah, lunch is like 11, what they're counting like 12:15. So
So in general, how is it here?
it's a lot different in Colorado.
Was it?
Good or bad?
It's better, I think, because I mean, it's here. I'm actually around other people. I mean, in Colorado, it was just like I was segregated, and there was like hanging on the walls all night, screaming, and just telling me
From other people?
Oh,
Really?
they're just telling me like how I should kill myself and like what they're gonna do to me, and just like all that kind of stuff. So
Oh, yeah.
it was today. This is a lot different because I mean, people here don't seem to. It's not like they don't care, but it's just kind of like they don't like judge you as soon as you walk in. Colorado was like they knew why I was there, and that was it. They were just like they had 1 second on hold of me. It would have been
Really?
yeah.
Gee, man. Must be out then.
Out of like what kind of jail? I don't know what it was like in DOC there, but like they had to lock down the jail for me to walk down the hallway.
Wow. It will? So they had to make sure you were completely separated from anyone else. Gee.
Wow.
Like I didn't see anybody else there. Like I was still next to somebody, but like I never saw them.
You just hear them.
How did they know who you were?
I don't know. I just they make phone calls in there too.
Oh, okay.
And they got the newspaper in there before I got in there. So
Yeah. Have you been able to talk with family?
oh yeah, definitely. Like we get from 6 p.m. to 7:30. That's our my unit's not out, so we get to use the phone at that point in time.
Really? And do they charge you for it, or?
Oh, it's just like it's like Securus or something.
Okay. And how do you make money to pay for that?
They put money on the phone.
Oh.
So if I call, like, if I was like to dial somebody's number, they have to have like a phone account set up.
Oh.
It's like restricted.
And then so who you call pays for it?
Yes.
Oh. Okay. Have you been able to talk to like family members and parents and all
Yeah,
that?
my mom and dad, my sister.
Okay. Good. Is that a good thing?
That's a good thing. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't hear from me. They're like, "Oh, what's wrong?"
Oh. Good. And how is it with them?
And so far, so good.
Yeah. Yeah. It was hard to hear your parents at sentencing.
Yeah.
I didn't know if what they were gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. And so, yeah, I really appreciated what they said. I don't know about you.
I definitely was. I didn't expect them to be there. So I knew they were there on the 6th. I'm sick, but I didn't expect them to fly back, and I wanted to fly back for that.
Yeah. and then while we involve it.
Definitely.
Good. Well, so we have 1,000 questions. I'm sure you do too. Do you care if we start, or do you have any questions for us?
Go ahead. We'll start.
All right. So one of the things that we're battling with is, and I won't make any assumptions today. So, are you aware that this was a national story?
After a little while, I didn't talk to my parents while I was in Colorado.
Okay.
Because, I mean, my attorney team told me, all right, no phone calls, no letters, no nothing. So, like, I made one phone call when I was in the segregation area there, but my dad thought it was like somewhat like a news.
Oh,
I turned to call.
so he didn't answer?
Yeah, so he didn't answer, but other than that,
Okay.
I didn't talk to anybody, but from what some of the deputies were saying that, for my attorney team coming in and said, this is like, they've got people from Australia, England, and all kinds of people trying to figure out what's going on. So,
Did they send you any other letters, like fan mail or anything? Well,
I got letters, but I couldn't keep them with me, so like I could read them like on my hour out. But it's like I got a bunch of letters that had no return address and stuff that was just not very good letters.
yeah.
So
Okay. They came from a weird perspective, didn't they? From what we had heard.
definitely, there was one person, I guess, from Broomfield that was like writing like 4 times a week trying to come visit me, and then there was just a lot of people like writing that was like lead through markers saying, like you're a monster, or all kinds of weird stuff.
Well, we're going to talk about some hard issues today, but I don't intend to take you to a dark place today.
Okay.
I hope that when we're done, you'll feel better. I hope it'll be therapeutic. We're going to talk about, obviously, what happened with your family. So that's going to be hard to talk about. I appreciate anything you can tell me about it. If you need to take time out, if you need to get a tissue, that's fine, right? I think it'll be very good for you. It'll be good for us. And so one of the reasons I asked about that national attention is we were aware that you were getting a lot of letters, a lot of interest, and then us personally as law enforcement, we got so many people who claim to have known you, claim to have been with you, dated you,